A warm hi to all senior intermediate students of Telangana Board. Welcome to yet another episode of Alphos eTechno Learning. Today we are going to discuss the fifth poem in the senior intermediate English textbook. The fifth poem titled What Kind of Place? It's a short and sweet poem written by one of the noted poets, Uma Parameswaran. To tell about Uma Parameswaran, she was born in Madras and was brought up in Jabalpur. She completed her studies in Jabalpur, but later she moved to America and completed her PhD over there. Later in life, Uma Parameswaran emigrated to Canada and she took to teaching in Winnipeg University. Even after retirement, Uma Parameswaran continued working or being there in Canada. The present poem is a wonderful poem by Uma Parameswaran. As you know, being in foreign country, the feelings of a woman or of a person and the longing for the culture of her own native land is brought out in this poem. Students, as I told you, the poem compares clash between two cultures, compares native culture and Western culture. As the title goes, what kind of place? This is no doubt the title of the poem. The title is a rhetoric title, a rhetoric question. Children, what do you mean by rhetoric question? A question for which answer is known to you and the poet does not ask you for the answer. Then why a question? Why a question? The very title is a question. What kind of place? This is to make readers really understand the depth of yet another place. So, as the title suggests, as I told you, the difference between the lifestyle of two generations, the comparison between native culture and Western culture. The poem is totally presenting the clash between two cultures. You know, children, difficulties of a mother when she is plucked and placed in a foreign country, in an alien situation, in an alien culture. Here, Uma Parameswaran presents a woman, a mother who, having been born and brought up in India, later is emigrating to a foreign country. Thank God she did not mention the country, but no doubt, students, it is a Western country. You know, in 10th class you might have studied in the essay Unity in Diversity, the importance of Indian culture. Indian culture is one of the richest culture in the world. The civilization, the culture, the traditions, everything wonderful in India. Now, leaving such a rich culture, moving to a country where the culture is entirely different, and a mother longing for, becoming nostalgic of her own culture, her own native land is what we see in this poem. In other words, if I say she is pouring out her own feelings, the speaker in the poem is a mother who has a deep love for her own culture, deep love for native culture. She is pouring out her own feelings in this poem. What kind of place? Uma Parameswaran, being abroad, she would have really felt and experienced these things in life, and that would have made her write this wonderful poem. Now, students, this is an important poem, and I already gave you a short introduction on this particular poem. And one more thing, this mother lives for a different culture and lives for a foreign country because she stays with her well-settled son. Her well-settled son in a foreign country. And she is welcomed by that son. She is very happy that her son is well settled. But do you think that mother is happy about the Western culture, about the culture of that country? Can she leave her own mother culture, mother country's culture? It's impossible. That's why those feelings are poured out through this poem. What kind of a place? Students, look at the first stanza which I have written down here. What kind of place you have brought me to, son? Again a question. The speaker, a mother, is asking her own son, what kind of place you have brought me to? Where the windows are always closed and the front door is always locked. See, again, repeated questions, rhetoric questions are seen throughout the poem. Students, this is a technical, poetic technique. Poetic device we call. Techniques used in writing poems. This is a poetic device using rhetorical questions. So, she was born and brought up in Indian culture. And she now feels a lot because, as you know, in olden days, particularly in the countryside, we see women or mothers always leave the doors and windows of the house open. The only time they close it or lock it is only at night time when they go to sleep. Even then, they may not in villages. This is the Indian culture. Whereas in modern days, in Western countries or in Western culture, we see the opposite. Doors are never opened. They are locked throughout the time. And windows are always closed. Away from the lap of nature. But in the countryside, but in our India, in our culture, native culture, we see people trying to live close to the nature, or I say, on the lap of the nature. A mother who experienced such a beautiful culture, now placed in a foreign country, how she feels. How she feels. All those feelings are brought out here through this poem by Uma Parameswaran. See, where the windows are always closed. Yes, in modern culture, we find this. Windows are always closed and the front door is always locked. Yes, children, today we Indians are after foreign culture. We are trying to adopt all the meaningless culture of, irrelevant culture of the foreign countries, Western countries. Today, our windows and doors of our houses are locked completely, closed completely. We open it only to welcome someone in. Immediately we bolt it again. And today, we live away from the nature. We want to lead an artificial life away from the nature. We don't want to be on the lap of the nature. This is very well clear, very vivid in these lines of Uma Parameswaran. And the front door is always locked and no Rangoli design on porch to say please come in. Children, you might have noticed not only in villages, even in towns or cities, in the early morning, what do our mothers do? Early morning, they wake up, they clean the courtyard, they sprinkle water, then at the entrance, they make floral decoration. Rangoli. I hope that word is very familiar to you. Rangoli. What is the relevance of this Rangoli? Rangoli in front of the house, at the gate in front of the house is to welcome a new day. Welcome the guests, welcome the people, add beauty to the house, add color to the house. A pleasant day, a happy day is welcomed. So Rangoli design is laid on the porch to say, please come in. But today, do we see this? Do we see this? People do not even open the doors who live in flats and apartments, do not even open their door in the morning, do not even welcome the new day, the rising sun. So the first stanza in this way tries to tell about the feelings of that mother who is in a different country, So in this way, the poem is completely bringing out a contrast between the Indian or native culture and modern culture. Native culture is completely liked and very much adored by this mother. But when she is placed in a foreign country, with her well-settled son, she finds it very difficult to live there, to continue there with that kind of modern culture. Students, I'm not going to write all the lines here, but I just try to explain, reading out the lines. Son, the second stanza run. Son, it gives me great joy. Addressing her own son, that mother speaks. Son, it gives me great joy to see you well settled. Yes, any mother will be very happy to see her son well settled. Though my well settled children and all, though my hairs do stand on end when your wife holds hands with me. Yes, yet another part of Western culture. What is that? Yes, there, what is the greeting method? The greeting method in Western culture is completely different. In foreign culture is completely different. There, men and women, as a part of their greeting method, shake hands. But this mother is shocked, horrified at the sight of her daughter-in-law shaking hands with other men and her son shaking hands with other women. This is something a mother of Indian culture and tradition cannot tolerate. This is what we see here. And she says, though my hairs do stand on end when your wife holds hands with men. When your wife holds hands with men, I cannot bear it. My hair stand on end. Students, what do you mean by hair stand on end? Frightened. Make someone frightened. Make someone horrified. And you with other men's wives. See, it is not only the daughter-in-law shaking hands with other men. It is also her son shaking hands with other women. That's also something, others' wives. That's also something that a mother cannot tolerate in Indian culture. This is what she sees there in the foreign culture. But I am glad, son. At the same time, she tells, I am glad, son. I am very happy, happy, son. I really am that you are settled so good in life, so good. You are well settled in a foreign country, and as a mother, I feel very happy and thought to bring me all the way to see this lovely house and car and all. See how much strain you took, my son, to bring me all the way to your newly settled country and taking care of me. You have all the luxuries here, all the comforts here. You have your car, you have your house here, everything. And how happy I am to see all these things here, children. Son. So this way, mother does not blame her son. Instead, mother tries to tell that the culture into which I am brought, is not at all a culture which she can digest or tolerate. That is what we see here. And the poem continues, but I cannot breathe this stale air. Son, here the room is full of stale air. What do you mean by stale? Not fresh. Yes, from morning to evening, throughout the day, the doors are locked and windows are closed, and inside the stale air, my son, I cannot breathe this stale air with yesterday's cooking smells. Yes, when we do not open the windows, what happens? What happens? The smell of all the cooking done in the kitchen will rotate within the house, and I cannot tolerate it, my son. And yesterday's cooking smells going round and round. Son, cooking is an everyday thing, not a Sunday work alone. This is something very much to be noted, children. Cooking is not a Sunday work alone. Cooking is an everyday thing. Students, hope this is gradually happening in our Indian culture too. Modern people have gradually adapted this worst system of the foreign culture. Cooking one day, that is on Sunday alone in a week, and storing it in the cold cellar, I mean refrigerator. What a change we see. And hope you know, some of the mothers may not like this. They do not like to eat things that are frozen within the refrigerator. Instead, they cook freshly every morning and eat. She says, son, cooking is an everyday activity, not a Sunday work alone. See the difference, children. See the contrast between Indian traditional culture, the old culture, and the modern culture, which we are unnecessarily imbibing from, unnecessarily copying from Western countries. Son, open the windows. She orders her son, open the windows. I am too used to the sounds of living things. I am so much used to the sounds of nature, living things. Yes, children, you know, in the early morning, when you wake up, the sun rises at the very dawn itself. When sun rises, we see the whole nature together welcoming. We say the music of the nature. Birds singing, other creatures singing, the whole nature welcoming the new day, and to be in the lap of the nature, listening to the beautiful music of the nature. How pleasant it is. But here she says, son, please open the windows. I want to listen to the sounds of the living things, because she had been habituated to. She used to be in such a culture. But here, nothing like that. She does not hear a bird singing in the morning. She does not hear the sounds of the nature in the morning. She continues, son, open the windows. I am too used to the sounds of living things, of birds in the morning, of rain and wind at night. Yes, in India, we find there is rain in the evening. At night, there is cool breeze blowing, being touched by the cool breeze and the cool atmosphere when rain falls. All these is really pleasant to this mother. But here, nothing like that. She lives within a closed room where rain does not touch. The music, the singing of the birds are not heard, and the wind at night is not felt. See the artificial life of man, how we are going to the artificiality of life, throwing aside the beautiful, serene nature and Indian culture. She is pouring out her feelings, addressing her son. Son, not the drone of furnace fan. Here what I hear is always the drone, the sound of the furnace fan. The furnace fan's rounding sound is what I hear here. And hiss of the hot blast. Children, blast means the pushing of the hot air. Hissing sound. Which animal makes hissing sound? Snake. Just like snakes hissing, we hear the hiss of hot blast. Yes, you know, there will be furnace in foreign countries, particularly the European countries where it is cold weather. People will have hearth, fireplace in every house, because in the evening when it is very cool, they sit beside the fireplace. That fireplace is called a furnace, and the blast of the hot blast of this fire, and that is the sound, the hissing sound. she hears inside the room, and whoosh whoosh of washing machine. Whoosh whoosh. What a repetition. See, this is another poetic device, children. Whoosh whoosh of washing machine. Whoosh is the sound created by the washing machine when it rotates. So these are the sounds she hears inside this closed apartment or closed house in the foreign country. So she is not accustomed to this. She does not like this at all. So finally she says, "Son, open the windows." She makes a request at the end of the poem. "Son, open the windows and let me go back, son. Let me go back to sun and air. I want to go back to sun. I want to go back to air." What do you mean by go back to sun and air? To the nature. Nature is full of pleasant, fresh air and the bright sun. I want to be in the open air is the meaning. "Son, please open the windows. Please open the windows, son, and let me go back to the lap of nature, to the rising sun, to the pleasant bright sun, and to the fresh air." See, the longing of a mother. She feels irritated in life, being with her son, though all the luxuries she enjoys there, though she enjoys all the luxuries there. Is she happy in life? No, her mind, in the depth of her heart, she desires to go back to her own mother country, mother nation, go back to the lap of nature, go back to the sun, go back to the fresh air. This desire, this longing is very well seen here in these lines, children. "Open the window, son, and let me go back to the sun and air. Even sweat and flies and all." Okay, I like it. To sweat when there is horrible scorching sun in summer. Scorching sun in summer. To get sweat, wow, it is pleasant. She likes it. Whereas inside here, see the contrast. Whereas now inside this room, no sweat, because the room is completely under the cooling effect of the air conditioner. There is no sweat. "I want to sweat," she says. "I want to go to the scorching sun. I want to be in the sun for some time so that I get to sweat." And she says, the flies, yes, you know, in the evening hours, when lights are on, electric lights are on, everywhere flies. Or at home, in the kitchen or surroundings, we find house flies. Without these house flies, without these creatures of the nature, life becomes difficult to me. Yes, inside this closure, this closed room or apartment, she does not find a housefly, she does not find a butterfly, she does not find a bird, she does not find any creature of the nature. So she says, "I want to sweat and I want to see the flies and everything as such. Son, I don't want to be here, but not this, my son, not this." These are the last lines of the poem, children. The last very line is, "But not this, not this." See the repetition, children. But is a linker used. Linker of, yes, a linker of contrast. But not this, not this. Really, she is very happy and satisfied of the achievement and well-being of her well-settled son. At the same time, her heart pains. Her heart pains out of the longing for, desire for the motherland, the culture of the motherland. She wants to be in this nature. She wants to be in the lap of the nature with the birds, with listening to the singing of the birds, in the sun, in the rain, and to be surrounded by flies and other creatures of the nature. This way the poem is concluded. Now a few tips I want to say. Throughout the poem, Uma Parameswaran uses poetic devices. One of the most important poetic device you have seen is the very title itself. Not only title, here and there you can see asking rhetoric questions. Rhetoric questions. Rhetoric questions means questions to which the poet does not require an answer, demand an answer. Everyone knows. This type of questions are called rhetoric question. This is a poetic device that we even find in the title of the poem, what kind of place. Yet another one is irony used very well. The device of poetic device of irony is used here and there. And the third thing is repetition. Children, even the last line has a repetition, but not this, not this. This is yet another example for repetition. Like this, Uma Parameswaran is at the artistic height in writing the poems. Her artistic height, mastery over the art of writing a poem is seen through this poem. This is a wonderful example for her artistic height in this writing of poem, children. And another thing I want to say, students, in this poem, poet presents the problems faced by every mother, every person who is plucked from the mother country and replanted in a different country. And this aversion, hatred for the modern culture, which we are gradually imbibing from the foreign countries. And at the same time, she indirectly tries to tell us that the modern generation is trying to give up our traditions, our rich culture, our traditions, Indian traditions and Indian rich culture. This is a precious wealth we have. This treasure must be always preserved by us. Young students, this is a good message conveyed by Uma Parameswaran through this poem. Let us not say bye-bye to our rich culture. As you know, Indian culture is one of the richest cultures in the world. Let us protect. Through your generation, it must be handed to the coming generation. Then Uma Parameswaran's dream of preserving our culture would run. Wherever we are, let us not say bye-bye to our culture. Let us nourish it, let us cherish it, and do not try to blindly imitate and copy the foreign culture, which is worthless, meaningless, irrelevant in Indian traditions or compared to Indian traditions. In Indian situations, they do not suit at all. Okay, students, here I wind up this poem. We have come across a few meanings to here and there. It's a simple poem, no? Uma Parameswaran picks simple words. Her poems are simple, but they have beauty and depth of poetic devices and height of mastery over writing poems. Artistic height is very well achieved by her in her poems too. We come across one word in the first stanza is, see, no Rangoli design on porch. Porch, hope you know, porch is nothing but a small area at the entrance of the building. Yes, everyone, either at the entrance gate or in front of the porch, Rangoli design is laid in the morning. Floral decoration is done. Colors are, color designs are done just to welcome the day, welcome the guests, welcome the people in the early morning, in the dawn. And another word is stale. I told you, means not fresh. Opposite is fresh. Stale, opposite, fresh. Then drawn. Drawn means continuous noise coming up. Drawn. The fan when rotates, it creates a sound. It creates a sound. That sound is called drawn. Then there is hiss. Hiss, the word hiss, you know, it is the sound made by snakes. Hissing sound. Just like the hissing sound, the hiss of hot blast, hot fire. When hot air from the fire emits, the sound that comes is called hissing sound. Then we have blast. Again the same meaning, sudden coming of movement of air. Sudden movement of air and the sound coming is called blast. Then whoosh whoosh of washing machine. Beautiful usage by Uma Parameswaran. Whoosh whoosh of washing machine. Whoosh whoosh is the sound of the rotation of washing machine. Okay students, with this I tried to complete this particular episode. Hope you followed very well. The poem is very important as the writer is, the poet is Uma Parameswaran, a noted poet of India. She, even after her retirement, she continued her life there in Canada. She, as I told you, she was a teacher. She was working there as a teacher in Winnipeg University in Canada. She continues even after her retirement to be there. Being in a foreign country, the experience might have spontaneously made her write this beautiful poem, What Kind of Place? Bringing a contrast between old culture and modern culture, or a comparison between native culture and Western culture. Students, I hope the explanation is clear to you. Please try to read the poem well and understand it thoroughly. Wish you all the best for your intermediate studies. This is J. Madan Paul, Alphos Educational Institutions. Thank you.